If you are a musician and you struggle with feeling confident, you're definitely not alone. This idea of confidence and feeling confident on stage is something that I've been personally struggling with basically my entire life. It's kind of like a love-hate relationship where on one side I absolutely adore and love performing live, but I've never been 100% comfortable with the fact that other people are listening to me. And once I decided to make music my life, make everything that I do surround music, I had two options. The first option was to just accept that I would always not feel really confident while I played and just have it be a piece of who I am. And the other option was to seek out ways to build my confidence in my own performing. And obviously I chose the second thing because it's just not acceptable for me to feel like a nervous wreck whenever I play music. And fortunately, through a lot of different performances and guidance from other people who struggle with the same thing, I found that confidence is not something that everyone is necessarily born with, but it's a skill that can be built. So if you feel not confident when you play music, or you feel nervous when you get in front of people to perform, I have a couple different things for you that I think can really help you feel more comfortable on stage. The thing that helped me the most, the number one thing that helped me become more confident in my playing was my preparation. And what I mean by this is that I would really intentionally try to practice like I perform. For me, the problem with performing is that when you have someone in front of you, matter of fact, if you have a lot of people in front of you, all of a sudden, it's really easy to be hyper aware of everything that you're doing while you're playing. And so I feel like there's this disconnect sometimes between what we do when we're practicing and what we do while we perform. And if we can take that gap, if we take that disconnection and get rid of it and try to change what we do while we practice so that when we perform, nothing's different. So a lot of it for me came down to my own mindset as I practice my music. Whenever I play and whenever I'm preparing for a performance, I try to be really, really present with my practice. I try not to let my mind wander onto other things and just be really acutely aware of what I'm doing while I'm practicing. And this has helped me in my performing because when I get to those gigs, my mindset doesn't have to change. I'm not really overly aware of things that I'm doing because I've already practiced that. Something that's helpful for me is to just imagine an audience whenever I play. Sort of have like an out-of-body experience and look at yourself from the perspective of a listener. So that way when you get to the gig, it's something that you've worked on. It's something that you have prepared for. And now you're not as fixated on what they're thinking because you've sort of been in that situation before. So yes, I mean, practicing slow and knowing your music inside and out and all the stuff that your teachers probably preached you, that's all true. It's really true and you need to work on those things. But you also need to work on the mindset as well. The other thing with mindset is to not try to give yourself such high expectations that the moment that you don't meet them, you completely crumble. The fact of the matter is that when you play music, you're probably going to be making mistakes. And honestly, they're probably not as bad as you make them to be in your mind. We do this to ourselves all the time. It's that old adage that artists are always their worst critic. And I think there's a lot of truth to that because we spend time with ourselves 100% of the time. And we often forget that the things that we fixate on, the audience doesn't notice it as much as we do. So it's okay to make a mistake. And stepping out onto stage with the knowledge that you might make a mistake is a good thing to have. Because then you're not setting your expectations too high. And I've done this myself where I just want to have a perfect performance, absolute perfection. In the moment that I miss something or I frack a note or I'm out of tune, whatever, then my confidence starts to diminish a little bit because I'm not achieving this perfect performance like it was my goal to. And it's just not a good mindset to be in because we got to understand that mistakes are okay. It's just how we rebound from those mistakes and how we continue to perform. So give yourself positive affirmations before and while you're playing. When you step out onto stage, give yourself the positive affirmation that you are already doing something brave and that as you get going, it's going to fall into place and you're going to feel more comfortable. As you're playing and you miss a note or something doesn't go the way that you practice, just realize too that that's expected, that's normal. We're human, we make mistakes. It's all a part of the process of learning to be a musician and performing in front of other people. I'm not sure where I heard this quote, I'm not even sure who said this quote, but I heard one time that the art of believing in yourself is a marathon and not a sprint. And in my own life, I have found that to be 100% true. If I was to give my younger self any advice, it would be that comfort is built over time. Comfort in front of people, performing in front of people, is something that gets better the more that you do it. If you're always trying to be 100% comfortable, and then you get to that gig and all of a sudden those performance butterflies kick in, it can be kind of hard to deal with, because then you feel like you failed, like you feel like you've let yourself down, that you're not yet super comfortable on stage. I think it's important to recognize that playing in front of other people is a big deal, but the more that you do it, the more that you get more comfortable. Every time you perform and every time that you get in front of people and perform music, you can tell yourself, I'm going to get this much more comfortable. And then as you perform again and again and again and again, that comfort slowly starts to grow. So don't give yourself the expectation that the next time that you play, you're going to be the most amazing, captivating, incredibly comfortable person when you get to that next performance. But instead realize that confidence comes with experience. It comes with the ability to be a little more present every time that you perform, and that this is built up over the course of a long time. Obviously, you've probably heard this advice before, but I find it really helpful to remind myself just to breathe before I play. Taking that breath can just give me a moment of centeredness, of presence to the moment, and to remind myself that everything is going to be okay. It's just music. It's just a performance. This is not a life or death situation. And breathing gives my body that oxygen that my brain and my blood needs. And it's just a really good relaxation technique to just take a really good deep breath before you play. The other thing is to just think and feel physically of where you're at. And this sort of comes from some meditation things, I think. I'm not a meditation expert by any stretch of the imagination. It's not something that I do on a regular basis, but I have meditated before. And part of that process was just to be observant of my body and how it feels in the present moment. And even when I'm standing on stage, if I just think about something physically to kind of get my mind in my own body, is to think about my feet. Just think about my feet, how my feet feel in my shoes on the stage. And that's kind of weird now that I say that out loud, but it's helpful. It's really helpful to think about my physical sense of where I'm at. It's grounding in a way, like literally grounding to think about my feet connected to where I am. If I feel more present about where I am and where I'm about to play, that kind of helps relax me as well. It's all about trying to bring your mindset to the present moment. And that's why we don't feel confident or comfortable when we perform. When my mind is scattered and I'm thinking about all these other people that are watching me and it's not focused on just the moment and my mind is not connected to my physical body where I'm at, then it's really easy for me to start just making things up in my mind because I'm not truly grounded in what I'm about to do. Being present is also a skill. We're talking about things that take a while to build up, and being present is definitely a skill. But it's a skill that's worth the effort to build, because this is the thing that makes performing so much more fun. When you're present with what you are doing and you're present in that moment, it's just so much more fun to enjoy the music, to enjoy the act of sharing that music with your audience. And when you feel more present and grounded and connected to what you're doing, you're going to perform better. You're going to play that music more confidently. You're not going to be so concerned by all the little things that we get in our head about, but rather just feel connected to the moment and the music that you're making. So I know this kind of goes without saying, but I think the thing that remains at the core, what needs to stay at the center while you perform, is your joy and connection to that music. And what I mean by this is that when you are authentically connected or genuinely excited, it just makes it more fun to present that music. Don't forget that connection that you have with your art form, because that's why we do this. We perform music because we love it. It's something that transcends other emotions and makes us see life in a way that nothing else can give us this perspective. Sometimes it's easy to get lost in all of the other things that we worry about when we play music. And if we lose the core of our joy, if we lose that connection to our love for this art, then that takes away, at least in my opinion, the whole purpose of why we're doing this. It's something that we love. It's something that we're passionate about. It's something that we use as a way to outline our view of the world, and then to take those perspectives and sketch it out for somebody else. So don't forget to be authentic. Don't be afraid to show your passion, your joy, your love for what you do, because people want to see that. They ultimately want to hear and listen to someone who means what they say. And I think a lot of times we forget about that joy, myself included, because we're worried about other things. We got to remember that music is just more than getting up in front of a crowd and making sounds. It's so much deeper than that, and we can't forget that connection of the deeper meanings of music. So I'm not sure how much daylight I have left with this because the sun's about to go down, but I just wanted to finish the video. And I think the most important thing is to remember that everybody deals with some sort of anxiety. Even if they say they don't, I think that everybody has some nervousness when they get in front of other people. And for me, when I know that I'm not alone in something and that other people are also struggling with the same thing, it kind of makes it feel a little more human. It feels like I'm not the crazy one for getting butterflies in my stomach the moment I step out on the stage. And when you go out there with the knowledge that other people are feeling like you or have felt like you, and that they improved and it felt better over time, that to me has helped me in my own confidence. The knowledge that this can be worked on over time and that it gets better every time that you do it. So thanks so much for checking out this video. And if you have anything that you might want to ask or add to this conversation, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. I do my best to answer everything that I get, especially in more serious conversations like this, because I know this is something that it's not fun to feel this way, and that if I had a little more help and guidance when I was younger, or maybe even newer to music, it might have been a little easier to deal with. So let me know if there's anything that I can answer for you. I'd love to hear from you, and I hope that you feel a little more confident the next time that you play music. We will see you in the next video. Thank you.